What is up, guys, and welcome to the FPL WildCats Live. Finally, we're back. Yes, technical difficulties. OBS decided to just shut down after I started the stream, which is fantastic, and gave me a bit of headache to sort out. But we are here now. We're here to talk FPL in 2021. So I'll pass over to Nim, but before we do that, please hit that like button. Maybe something will happen if you do, and hit that subscribe and notification bell. And Nim, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, thanks, Jay, and welcome everyone to the stream. Happy New Year to you all. It's been a little while since we were last with you. I hope you are all keeping safe and well. I know these are worrying and crazy times, but we're hoping we can give you a little bit of escapism for a little while at least tonight. A warm welcome return to Ray. We were in need of another member of the team to help us, and Ray's been helping us out with our social media, giving him the 5th Wildcat member status. So welcome to the team, buddy. How you doing?
Very well, guys. Thanks for getting me on. Yeah, enjoying it so far and looking forward to tonight.
Cool. Let's hope you're staying out at the end of the evening. And I think it's also a good time just to give a special mention to some of our honorary Wildcats, and that's Jeffers, Focus, Charlie and McTavius. Of course, they're our contributors and our moderators. They've been superstars for us in 2020, so thanks, guys. So with that intro done, let's get on with the show. I've been told some breaking news that Kurt is going to do a shot of Sambuca every 10 likes we get. So get liking the video, guys, to watch Kurt get a little bit blotted in 2021.
A little bit?
Just a little bit.
Well, it depends how many likes there are, doesn't it?
That's true. That's very true.
It might only be a little bit.
So with all of that, let's take a look at how we got on at last game week. So Ray, would you like to kick us off with how you got on in game week 17, please, buddy?
Yeah, sure. I feel every time I come on, I'm coming on to a low score. So I think that's the running joke right now.
Definitely not on purpose.
Always the way.
Definitely
Yeah. I got 120 last week. Why wasn't I invited?
Serious?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't stream last week, so that might be why as well.
So prior to the week, I had a transfer, and I took out Taylor and bought in Loughton, which proved to be a terrible move. Defense really didn't perform for me at all, actually. I was one of the guys who had Justin, and in 32 seconds, he tarnished me with like an 8-point drop very quickly with the booking and the goal conceded. The big battle for me was who to captain, and I'm always a form over fixtures guy. I think FDR can be a little less important when you're making decisions without the fans, because usually they are the 12th man in essence. So I went with Bruno Fernandes. He got the return. Dodgy penalty, I must say, but I wasn't complaining. But then suddenly, with James out as well, and I kind of thought Curtis Jones might start to get me 11 players. I actually only had 10 players playing. So to get 58, small red arrow, about 60,000 drop, which I'm okay with considering it wasn't a great week. But I've been 58 points I can't complain too much. I mean, I've gone up about 1.3 million places in like 5-6 weeks now. So I think my team is looking all right for probably the chips I'll be playing the next couple of weeks. And that's it.
Oh, sorry, Nimmer taking her headphones out. Sorry, she didn't know you'd finished.
Yeah, I know you've finished. Well, yeah, that's not a bad score, buddy. 58, so it's okay. It's not brilliant, but not terrible. Jay, how did you get on, buddy?
So my team seems to get green arrows whenever I can only play 10 men. So Charlie Adams, unfortunately, didn't play for me. I have a bench that has Taylor, Anguissa and Robinson. So, of course, plenty of blanks all over the place. But with captaincy on Son, 26 points. Fernandes also returning. So, overall, a pretty good game with 65 points in total. And now in the top 200k. But the team isn't really ready for Game Week 18, so I think a free hit is most likely going to be on the cards. Cresswell also doing very well for me. Finally, his delivery is paying off. Clean sheet and an assist. So very happy with how my game week went.
Nice. Good times. Good times. Brett, how did you get on, buddy?
Yeah, not bad. Hey guys, just trying to get my head back into this really, because like over Christmas, I kind of thought just like forget about it a little bit, you know, and I carried the transfer for last game week. Just because there was so much uncertainty with all these fixtures moving around, which is you know, for everyone it's a bit of a pain. It's a bit of pot luck at the moment. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's very hard to plan, hard to strategize, because at any moment things can change, you know. So in the previous game week, I moved out De Bruyne for Son, because Son, you know, so heavily owned, and he had like Leeds and Fulham in the next two or something like that. And the plan at that point was to free hit in 18 anyway. So with De Bruyne at home to Brighton that week, I thought, well, I can go without De Bruyne away to Chelsea, and then I'll get him back on the free hit then, you know. And then for 19 with the double fixtures, I won't worry about De Bruyne, because at that point he didn't have a double game week, you know. So I moved De Bruyne to Son. Paid off this week for sure, because Son, you know, I captained him and he got 13 points, which is great. But now I'm frustrated that I don't have De Bruyne again because of this new information. Now that Man City have the double game week, you know, and a great run of fixtures after. So it's a bit of a headache now how to get De Bruyne back, because I really want him back at home to Brighton. It didn't surprise me to see De Bruyne do well against Chelsea. I feel he always scores against his former club. He always seems to do it. Did it last season and maybe the season before as well. But overall, yeah, 63, you know, solid score. Not the best, but solid. Yeah, what can I say really? Wilson's disappointing. I'm holding Wilson.
Wilson.
I don't know why you do it to yourself.
Yeah, I've been there, mate. I got off again.
Yeah, I feel like with Wilson, I brought him in for the 3 good fixtures that he had.
Yeah,
but then you always find other problems, then you're stuck with him. So if I had sold him
I didn't
at the
find
right
other problems. I
time-
was just like, I am not staying
Yeah.
here. Straight to Bamford. Thank you very much, Wilson. Bye now.
Yeah, I mean, him to Bamford's a no-brainer for sure.
Yeah.
So
The
I've
thing
still
is,
got-
Brett, sorry, Brett,
Yeah,
sorry.
go on.
It's obviously he's got Sheffield United in the next game week.
Exactly. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. That's why I kind of thought, well, I'll hold on to him. And now I'm leaning towards not using the free hit. But again, like this Aston Villa uncertainty now, it's all so confusing, you know. So I have considered wildcarding. I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to free hit now, because I've got, with Mitchell back in the team and impressing, keeping a clean sheet, I've got like maybe 8 or 9 players with 2 free transfers this week. So I could easily get 9-10 players without wasting the free hit. However, it's going forward, I still, because City's fixtures are so good, and because of this new information, United having a double game week as well, and they're playing in the blank as well. I'm thinking to wildcard and utilize the bench boost next week now instead. You know, stack the team up ready for the bench boost. But obviously, using the wildcard early is a bit risky. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm still so confused about all these things moving around. But overall, a solid week. I'm like 800k or something now, so it's a lot better than it was a few weeks ago. It's been a slow, steady climb for the last like 7 game weeks, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's not bad at all, actually. It's quite good. Well, it's been a good little run for myself over the Christmas period. That I fear may be coming to a bit of an end, if I'm honest. So best celebrate it now whilst I can. I got 66 points in game week 17, leaving me just outside the top 1 million. Still not fabulous, but considering I was light Bray, I was down in 2.7 million just a few game weeks ago. So, you know, I'm feeling very grateful to be where I am right now. Martinez is a G, and I'm still asking myself why he didn't get more save points or bonus points in that Man United match. I got to admit, I was expecting there to be way more points than 3. Suspect conceding the penalty kind of went against him a bit there, but he was still absolutely amazing in that match, and it could have been loads more for United if not for him. Soufal was my only starting defender to get any returns with 6 points in his clean sheet. I benched Bednarak with his 7 points, so that was fun. In midfield, standouts. I know, it's awful.
Against Liverpool.
I know. You're never going to play unless you've got no other options, are you? In midfield, my standouts were Penandez, so there's 10, Souček with 11, And finally, lads, the Sunny Six is over. Yes, he's now repaid me back all 6 goals I missed out on in my hokey cokey. And he did it in style too during that game, getting his 100th goal for Spurs, and doing it during the only time this season that I've actually captained him. So that was quite cool. And that's pretty much it. Salah, Rafinha, Calvert and Bamford all got me 2 points, and nothing to really shout about there. But
how you feel about Robertson, Nim? Because I got him back as well, and I think against like West Brom, he got the 9 points against Newcastle, I think, didn't he? But
I've got him as well.
Yeah,
so,
still
Nim talks me round, but
you guys know since the beginning of the season, I've been saying I don't think Liverpool's defence is as good this season. And I've been saying that from the very beginning. I've also been saying that I think Robertson will outscore Trent this season since the beginning. At the moment, both those things are coming right, but I've always claimed it's going to be judging when to get on and off of them. And I got off of Robbo 5 game weeks ago, I think it was now, thinking his run was over and I could move on to free up some cash. And I got KDB out of it. And then KDB did nothing for a couple of weeks, and Robbo got a couple of hauls. So I then made the switch back again. And it's left me in a bit of a pickle now, if I'm honest, because I'd set myself up for the double game week, much like Brett, really, planning to free hit in 18 and have a bench boost in 19. And that was before, obviously, we had the rescheduling. And so I had no City and only Martinez from Aston Villa in my team. So I've kind of, definitely been left a bit stuck on that one, and I'm not really sure what to do now with everything so up in the air. I haven't hit any buttons yet, but currently I have 4 players playing in 18, and one of them is a goalkeeper. So it's very much looking like a wild card or a free hit. And the way things are at the moment with the uncertainty, as much as I'd like to wild card and set myself up for the rest of the season, I can't help feel like it's an awful lot of commitment when I don't know very much information. It's all very well saying I'll get all these players in now because, they're definitely going to have these double game weeks and they're definitely going to have this, that and the other. I absolutely load my team with City and Aston Villa players, but who knows what happens a week or two down the line. So.
That's what's frustrating me this season, really, is that uncertainty out of our control, and we take it very serious, this game. We want to finish highly, and a wild card is important. So if we knew the games were being played, we could strategize and pick a good wild card team. But if you play wild card and none of the games get rescheduled, it's like, oh, well, now my wild card's gone as well. Season's done. It's like, it's quite frustrating at the moment for me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of us feeling the same way, Billy. But I tell you who isn't frustrated right now, coming off the back of a mammoth game week and leaving the best to last. Curti, how did you get on last game week, buddy?
Oh, good evening, everyone. Hope we're all well. It's just one of those game weeks, really. It's just
He's
full
so
of
used
things
to it.
like bad
Just
luck.
So blasé.
I mean, I'm thinking, you know what? Surely I've got to end the week on a high, and you get a massive hammer blow of McCarthy not playing. And backup keeper is Mizek, who hasn't played for Leeds since, he doesn't even play for Leeds anymore. In general, his contract's been ended. So that was one thing I got wrong. Rashford, 2 points. He's been stinking out the place, and every time I need him to not stink out the place. Salah flopped in a dismal performance for Liverpool. I brought Watkins in for Bamford. He got 2 points. And, even with those disappointments, I'm just about scraped 85. So it's just, you can't help it, but you've got to move on.
Did you bring Holding in for this week?
I did. Yeah, my 2 transfers were Holding in for... Actually, I don't even remember. I just had the page up. Holding in for Lewis, because he wasn't playing, and Watkins in for Bamford, just because of, I think, fixtures for Villa. And Bamford and Watkins both got 2 points. I also made the decision to drop Diaz to the bench and bring in Cresswell, because I felt like Cresswell is starting to look really good. West Ham are looking good, and he's got more chance of returning. And that proved to be a big thing. I also
That
want to
Chelsea-
point
that
out.
Chelsea goal hurt a lot.
Yeah, I also want to point out that either at the end of last season or the start of this season, I want to go and find the clip of me saying, once West Ham get their hard games and their tough start out of the way, Souček at 5 million is an absolute must-own, must-start. And he's been in my team ever since, and he's just a player. He doesn't have all the big chances. He's not fantastic on the ball. He just gets
This
himself.
coming
He's
from
got
the guy who said you must own and play Brewster, I'm pretty sure. Just for
No,
balance. Just for
I said-
balance.
I just said I've still got Brewster because he's a 4.5 million pound striker that plays occasionally. I wasn't expecting Brewster to go and light the
Plays.
world like Salah.
Strong.
I mean, if you have someone on you name me another 4.5 striker in the past 4 or 5 seasons that gets you consistently 1 and 2 points that could be crucial to your score off the bench. I mean,
I remember one
he
about
scored
7
17
years ago.
points.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, about 7 years ago, it was Harry Kane at 4.5. Something like
Yes.
that.
Unbelievable.
When he first got in the team, that was insane. That was.
Oh,
But
man.
Brewster's picked up 17 points this season, so you think it could be 1 week where you've got a 4.5 million pound striker. Harry Kane gets injured, and you're thinking, oh, who's going to come in? Brewster comes in on 2 points. I mean, it could save you game week, as silly as it sounds. But no, joking aside, I mean, I was going to captain Son, but I thought Fernandes is a surefire thing, and he was. Eric Dyer with the clean sheet, Holding. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that at all. I can't even remember what goal he got the assist from, but I think it was the one that Tierney cut inside from. So
Yeah, it
just
was just a long ball.
So
yeah, just a ball wide. Souček and Cresswell, you cannot keep them apart. You're looking at all those, all these assist combos, and they're going to be topping it by the end of the season. Jesus Christ!
That's the second assist for Souček now in the last 2 game weeks for Cresswell or something, isn't it? Like it's Cresswell to Souček.
Yeah, and if you go back and look at the highlights of every West Ham game, if West Ham had scored a lot, like 50% more of their chances, Cresswell's the highest scoring defender by an absolute mile. Because the amount of headers that hit the post, hit the bar, went into the side netting, 3 headers that went straight at the keeper. I mean, Cresswell must be absolutely. If he had himself in his FPL team, he'd be furious at his team at half time. How have you bozos missed another load of chances again? But the team's looking all right. It got to the point as well that with the news of the new games coming in, I've got 10 players now that can play in the next game week. That is including people like Brewster. So I'm not entirely certain that I need to play my free hit. I'm going to leave it because knowing me, I'll play my free hit and then season get postponed or something like that. But
I was going to say, if I had 10 players playing, I probably wouldn't even consider.
They're not going to be high scoring.
Kane, Rashford, Fernandes, Holding.
Yeah, the only thing is that I'd like to
well,
actually try and make a bit of a go at the FPL Cup, seeing as this is the first time in I think 3 years that I've qualified out of the first round. I'm either not qualified in total.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, me too.
Normally, I don't qualify or I go out in the first round, but now I've got through it. I'm thinking, oh, you know what?
So there's 3 Wildcats left in the race.
Yeah.
I want to focus on the league.
Oh, that classic Addy.
That classic.
You put out the youth team, did you, for the cup? That's what it was.
So before we move on, Kurt, we are now at 16. So I think that means you have to have your first.
Chat away, people.
Kurt, I'm joining you.
Oh, hello.
I thought I'd leave it a surprise.
Oh.
What's
have
your
you got?
chosen poison?
Me, I literally asked the missus, what alcohol in the house do you not mind
Oh,
me
he's
drinking
blaming
a
it on
lot of?
Mrs.
No,
He's
I
got
just
a-
don't want to steal an alcohol she actually enjoys. So it's pink grapefruit and rosé gin. So it doesn't actually taste great. But she literally was like, I don't care if that bottle disappears.
I hope you didn't get that as a Christmas present off of somebody, otherwise they're going to be sorely upset right now.
Lately did.
I doubt
that's a
they
gift
watch.
Yeah, that's
from
a
the
gift.
But
souvenir
if they
shop.
do, don't tell them. Like, if they turn up later, this is the
Don't
best
tell
we
them.
had, and I needed something nice and easy to go down.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Okay, so our first question tonight comes from Nuclear Atoms. He says he'll keep it simple. Should I free hit or save it for later? My team going into the blank is Martinez, Holding, Diaz, Saka, Bruno, Son, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So, Ray, would you like to kick us off, buddy?
Yeah, so Nuclear and myself have been tweeting a bit back and forth about, kind of our thoughts. And currently I also have 7 players going into the blank game week, and I have 2 free transfers. And the whole time I was thinking, yeah, I'll have 9 players, I'll put them out, but I really want to go aggressive this game week. You know, I don't want to miss out on Sterling, Rashford, possible hauls. I mean, I won't make any moves until 30 minutes before the deadline because you don't know what's going to happen with the FA Cup as well. You know, I'm not even going to think about it. I'll just have to be agile and reactive. So I do like the base that he has there. I don't think Nuclear has any more transfers, but I feel if you have 7 or 8 key players, I think you can play them, and I hope that, of course, one of them haul. I do worry that he doesn't have Kevin De Bruyne, because I think De Bruyne could really start hauling now, especially with the offensive expression that Man City are starting to show now. So this morning, I said I'll free hit because I really want the big hitters and really try and get a massive haul. So I would actually free hit personally.
Okay. And Ray, just to kind of throw a span in the work with the Aston Villa news today and possibly Martinez not playing, would that push you even further towards a free hit?
I'm unsure about that because I had to think as well, because I think Martinez will maybe get a 1 or 2 point out the game. Because, you know, I expect Tottenham to get a goal or 2. It depends. It's the most intriguing game for me out of the game week of how the setup will be and how both teams will approach the game, because they can both soak up pressure and they can both counter. So it's going to be a quite good game tactically. But if he's down to then 6 players and the likes of, you know, DCL isn't really in form at the moment, I could see Wolves opting back to their 3-4-3 and having those difficult blocks to break down. Yeah, I mean, if you got less than 7 players for me, I'd definitely free hit.
Yeah, I agree. So Kurt, would it be the same for you, buddy?
What, to free hit?
Yeah, for Nuclear.
I mean, I'm still of the. If you'd asked me a few weeks ago, I'd have said no matter what, free hit. It just seems like the sensible thing to do, because then you don't need to worry too much about your team and getting players in for the blank game week. But as time's gone on, now I'm thinking no matter what, don't free hit. Try your hardest to save it, because there'll be teams there that play with less players. You'll have people that play teams. You think, oh, I've got a bang 11, I'll be all right. Players get rested. So
Arrested, did you say?
Yeah, or dropped.
Rested.
Possibly arrested as well with some of the escapades.
I thought you said
What do
arrested.
you mean? What do you thought I say?
Arrested. Like
Oh,
the
arrested.
police.
No, rested. No, just rested. As in, like, you need to take a rest, not you're going to be arrested. But no, I'd try your hardest to keep it, because I feel like you could really go in strong at the end of the season. And that's probably what I'm going to try and do. Just save all the chips and then just go massive on bench boost and get your triple ups on everything and get your free hit and just get 3 City players or Spurs players in, and then you triple captain when you get an easy team like West Ham at home's Liverpool, that sort of thing for Cresswell. So, you know, anything like that really, I'd say try your hardest not to use it.
I agree with you, but I think another thing is that when the next double game week and possible blank games weeks come along, you kind of got the Champions League possibly restarting as well, and of course more progression into the cup. So I could see a bit more rotation around the league as well, and you might not have the kind of tasty fixtures you have in the next game week. You know, because I think triple Arsenal, triple Man City, and triple Man U are real viable options this time. So I think a lot depends as well on what the double game weeks are around, if you like, and depending on what the progression is of the cups of some of those major teams. So, for example, if Everton had a double game week, I'll be like, all right. Does that make sense? I think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thoughts on that, Jay, Brett?
I mean, I'm somewhere between everyone here, because the reason I was playing the free hit is I didn't want to change the side that I was building for the double game week and onwards. And even now, if I use transfers instead of the free hit, I might not necessarily be bringing in players I definitely want moving forward. However, like with the free hit, I think right now, and this is maybe me trying to predict the future, right now seems like one of the highest points in the pandemic where it might affect games. So I don't agree necessarily going triple on the team, because if that team doesn't play, then you're losing 3 players. If you get 2 of those fixtures...
Surely it's just a good excuse to have a good bench, though.
Yeah, but
come in
say you go triple
go
Arsenal and triple City, that's 6 players. If both of those games then for some reason don't happen, that's 6 players you've not got playing. You've only got 4 on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily agree on going full out, because I don't necessarily think the fixtures are amazing. But for me, the free hit is about not changing my team completely from the team I was happy with anyway, with the fixtures that were coming up. So the free hit for me is a bit of a defensive move, I reckon, whereas before it was just a way of not having to completely upheave my team for a free hit. And the thing is, the free hit will help because the blank and double are so close together. Whereas in the future, I'm hoping blanks and doubles won't be one game week after the other. But it is a real mess, to be honest. So I can see why everyone is thinking differently, because everyone's team is different. So you've got to do what's best for your team. My team, I think the best move is to free hit.
You can't help feeling like come after the end of this weekend, you're going to have or the end of the game week, it's going to be a very split FPL community. Those that kind of went one way and those that went the other. Great. And if you're going to be on the right side of the coin, then fantastic. But if you're going to be on the wrong side of the coin, it's going to be utter miserable, isn't it? But as you say, it's kind of great because it does allow those that are near the bottom of the pack to rise up. But also, on the other hand, it does, could cause you some serious damage as well.
I've seen people that aren't happy with how everything's going. Just embrace the chaos and try and make the best of it that you can.
I would have liked, I'm not going to lie, I really would have loved that Leeds Southampton match to have got moved into 18, because it would have given me 9 players to have played in the blank, and then I could have saved my free hit. But that's not looking likely at all now. So a bit disappointed there. Brett, your thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, this is tough. Like, I wish I could give a clear answer, but I do feel as confused as most people. I agree with you, Nim. Like, going on Twitter and seeing people's drafts of free hit teams, it does make you think, oh, bloody hell, I'd love to have that free hit team this week. It tempts you, because if you're holding the free hit, then you're putting out, I could put out maybe 9 players, but it would be the likes of maybe Mitchell, Calvert-Lewin out of form still. So it's not maybe the strongest team compared to the teams you see on, not optimal, like you see with the free hit teams. But like Jay said, I agree with Jay in the fact that before we had this new information, like a couple of weeks ago, my plan was, well, I'm going to free hit an 18 because that's just a one-off week, whereas 19 onwards is the future. That's a long-term plan. So I'd rather build my team for 19 onwards than try and build a team for blank game week 18, where Liverpool weren't playing, United weren't playing at the time, and then Liverpool will have a double and United have a double in 19. So I'd rather have those players ready for the double game week onwards, because United's fixtures are so good after that as well. So why would I build a team for 18? I'll just free hit that one, forget about that one, and build for the longer term, for the double game weeks and so on. Yes. But now, obviously, things have changed a bit now because fixtures have moved around. So with Nuclear, like, he's on the borderline, isn't he? Like 7.
Yeah, he's kind of in between.
Oh, I don't know if I'd be comfortable with just 7. It's
just a couple.
And I think he's used his transfers as well. Just for the record, I think he said
pretty sure
he used his transfers.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple of years ago, I did have 7 players going into a blank game week, and I actually rose, I think, something like 600k in rankings by not doing anything to my team at all. I just didn't touch it, and that was mainly because I was in hospital. But I remember checking my team in the hospital bed, and I was like, I really am not in the mood to change anything about this or try and think about a free hit or anything. So I'll just captain Salah and leave it at this. And somehow I ended up coming out of it in roses. So I guess there is a possible argument just to leave your team as it is, especially if you've got 7, 8, 9, and just stick the captaincy on Bruno important. And then hope for the best, pretty much. But Yeah, it's I can see Ray's point about attacking for sure. Okay, so we have Mac, FPL Humble. How many players are enough to avoid a free hit? So we're going to have a few free hit questions tonight. Taking in account whether most of those players might be in the free hit anyway, he says, such as
Good
Bruno, KDB, Son, Kane, City defenders. So Kurt, if you had most of those, which I think you do, how many players do you think there's enough with the right kind of players to avoid a free hit?
It's a hard question to ask and give general feedback on. I mean, all I refer to is that it all depends on who plays well and who you have. Because I remember a couple of years ago, I remember being at Top Golf, worrying that I'd forgot to change my team before the deadline. Had 6 players on. But fortunately, I left my captain's armband on Salah, and he scored 4 goals away, 4 goals and an assist away at Watford.
That's probably the same
and
one.
I got higher than average. And that's the only game week I can remember where it sort of mattered. So if you've got couple of strong players like a Salah type player, a big money player that's playing against a team that you think they could generally pick up with their one hand and smash them into the ground repeatedly, go for it. I'd say don't free hit. If I had 6 players, let's say my team at the moment, looking at it, I've got 10 players. Let's say if I take out Brewster, ignore Dyer, ignore Rashford, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I've got Son and Kane, I've got Fernandes, I brought Martinez as well for goal, I've got Diaz in centre back. You get the right captaincy choice there, don't need to worry about it. Because you're getting 40, 50 points. That's going to be a lot higher than most other people. And that's a lot higher than other people getting game weeks of 11 people anyway. So
yeah,
just make sure you got the right players. If you feel like you've got a weak team, they're playing against tough teams and they're tough fixtures, they might not score well, use it. But that's why I'm saying do everything you can to keep it. Although there's generous fixtures this time around, it could be easier at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think essentially you are relying on like the 4 or 5 extra players that you have the luxury of picking, because most teams will have Bruno anyway. You know, maybe a lot will have Son as well, Kane, maybe De Bruyne, who's a bit less owned. But there's a lot of popular players that even the non-free hit teams will have. So you are like a lot of the free hit teams that I've seen now, because Arsenal are starting to pick up form. It's made, them seem like an opportunity there on the free hits, but you're still relying on a performance from Arsenal. If they don't perform, or if City concede to Brighton, then all of a sudden, the free hit is no better than most non-free hit teams, because the players that
I don't know. I mean, I've got 3 players right now. So
I know.
Free hit looks great for me.
Yeah, true. I mean, look, if you've got 2 or 3 players, then obviously free hit's a no-brainer. But more for
I know,
the sort of 6, 7 players. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean, because I think if I had, already had a lot of the players that I've seen on Twitter, for instance, in a template for free hit teams, then I'd probably just be going, yeah, why am I using this when I'm covering quite a lot of the players already in the templates? Anyone wants to add to that one before I move on to the next one?
I just feel like I need more players because of this current global situation. Anything can happen. Any game could or couldn't happen. And so if I go in with, say, 6, and then 2 of those players are out, then I've got 4.
Yeah.
Whereas, and to be honest, I could play the free hit and still lose players. But at least I have more players, which is why I also mentioned that I don't like the idea of tripling up. Because it takes a lot of my players out of the equation if that game does get postponed. So, for me, I think in this situation, if it wasn't just a normal season, I'd say I'd need at least 8 to consider not playing the free hit.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my comfort zone as well, I think.
And I think it needs to be spread. It couldn't be 8 with, 4 in one game. It would need to be 8 with maybe the most being 2 in one game. And then I'd be like, okay, as long as those are the good players, the Bruno Fernandes, and so on and so forth, I think I'd risk at 8.
Okay, cool. So we are just 2 away from Kurt and Jay taking another shot. If anyone would like to like the stream, that would be cool. Moving on to FPL Focus's question. If Souček ends up going off form and turns into Surek, who would you replace him with? Ray. So this is a question for Ray specifically.
Yeah, so Graham, the pun master.
The pun master, the Surek.
Yeah, I think I'm being kind, but yeah, I was on his show yesterday. So
Yeah.
thanks for inviting me again, Graham. Yeah, so for me, it would be Saka, because I don't expect a lot of teams would have Souček and Saka, because you probably want to get obviously KDB, Son, Bruno, and Salah. So yeah, if Souček's not performing, you'd bring in Saka. But for me, Souček could be a set and forget for quite a while, actually, because I agree with what Kurt was saying, because I had Souček in beginning of the season, and after about 4 or 5 games of getting close but not getting the returns, I took him out. It's like the biggest mistake I've made. So I'm planning to bring him back in after the double game week, my transfers. So yeah, if Souček's not performing, I'd bring in Saka.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need an excuse here to say how fabulous Saka is. I mean, myself, Brett, been saying it since the beginning of the season. We absolutely love the kid.
So have I, even though I'm not an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, no, to be fair, you have as well.
I even got in arguments with people about it.
Yeah,
but we won't bring that up.
I mean, we held on to him for as long as we could, Jay. Let's be honest. I think we were the last 2 to get off of him. Literally, we couldn't hold any more.
It's 20 likes, by the way.
Oh yeah, 22 now. So get on that, lads. Just putting this out there though. As much as I absolutely love Saka, another player you could consider is Neto, the Wolves, who I think, is kind of going possibly under the radar a little bit at the moment. So, yeah.
I think he's 0.8 more expensive, isn't he? I think he's 6.
Is he? Has he gone up? Wow. Okay.
Cheers, Dave. Dave gave us some likes to make sure we drunk. I appreciate it, Dave.
Where was your Saka cheers? Come on now, lads. Shlonte Saka. Yeah, cool. Okay, Ray, I love how you've snuck a question in here.
Oh, what? No way.
Really? How did that get in there?
How did that happen? You've been drinking as well, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He forgot he was on when he tweeted it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm on, aren't I?" Oh. Ask himself.
Yeah, actually, it was just a question we were asking each other last night on Twitter. Yeah. Is Gundogan, so we'll ask Brett, Jay and Kurt, is Gundogan a legit option going forward? So Brett, Gundogan, what do we think?
Just looking now, 3 goals in his last 4. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
That's even surprised me.
Have you been paying attention to Christmas? You're just like,
not really.
Enjoy Christmas.
No, I'm just so fed up. I'm so fed up of it. Honestly, he's not been on my radar at all. I mean, I didn't even realize he'd scored 3 in the last 4, to be honest. So sorry about that. Not for me. I get that they've got great fixtures. So at 5.4. Like if you wanted to set and forget him there at that price, if you don't fancy Souček or Rafinha,
yeah, actually he's in that price bracket, isn't he?
Yeah, so they've got an amazing double week, like Palace at home, Villa at home, the fixtures after as well, West Brom, Sheffield United, Burnley. So I get the pick. They're starting to pick up a bit of form, City, and he's obviously in form, so I can understand it, and it might be worth a punt at that price. But personally, I just can't see past Souček just for the reliability. Obviously I don't have Souček, so it's like you want what you don't have.
Yeah.
But I just see him as such a great value option, nailed every game.
What about if it was Rafinha? Because I have both Souček and Rafinha, but I have considered Gundogan for the double game week. I'm not gonna lie, because getting KDB is gonna absolutely just demolish my team, and would mean me selling Robertson again. So Gundog was an easy way in.
I do go. Yeah, I mean, if you can't get to KDB, which is what we all want, but it's very hard to. He's a nice little option at 5.4.
Mm-hmm.
If I had Rafinha now, it's a no-brainer just to keep him. He's got the double as well, and he's in decent form as well.
I mean, all of my starting 11 at the moment have a double. and a couple on the bench too. So I guess we just wait it out now and see actually who ends up with the double. But
there's just too many good midfield options. So for me, Gundogan's not on the radar, but I can see.
Sorry.
I think you should do a shot for that.
Was that a hot peek by
I
any
forgot I
chance?
had that sound clip on. Sorry.
I'm obviously boring Kurt now.
Sorry.
He has to watch YouTube videos when I talk. So not for me, but I can understand the pick. So it's not for me. He won't be coming in for sure. I like Rafinha and Souček better, but I can understand it with the fixtures and the double at that price. It might be worth a punt.
Ray, what's your thoughts on your own question?
Yeah, so I did a short poll and just under 100 votes, and about 30% of them actually said yep, and 21% said still analysing. So that's about 50 people who basically are considering it, including me. And one big thing is looking at the heat maps as well from his past 4 or 5 games, including the one yesterday. Is he's getting in quite into those advanced areas that David Silva used to kind of get into.
Yeah.
Which has shocked me really, because when they got 100 points, he was acting as the CDM pivot when Fernandinho was injured. So he is definitely having more license to kind of express himself offensively, because Pep trusts that he'll still do his defensive work if ever they need to drop in. So my eye is certainly out for him, and I'm really watching him at the moment. I'm extremely intrigued, not necessarily only because of the returns, but he's going to get a lot of game time. Yeah. I think he's becoming part of those 4 or 5 players that Pep's like, you know what, I can start you and trust you every single week because you've done it for me before.
Agree.
And technically, he's just so talented technically from his Dortmund days. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because even though Pep has switched up his team in the last 4, I've been quite interested to see that even though Foden's played, Gundogan stayed on. Even though Mahrez has played, Gundogan stayed on. He's literally stayed in that spot regardless of who he's put around him. So that's what's kind of interested me. I mean, to be fair, we all know what we're getting with Pep Roulette, don't we? It's KDB, Edison if he's fit, and that's the only ones you can bank your hat on playing. But after that, 5.4 is a little bit like that Foden punt where you could take it because of the price.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, you got to just take the rough with the smooth with it, to be honest.
It's not a risky punt because it's so cheap anyway. So it could end up being a bargain for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Jay, any more thoughts on that before we move on?
I mean, I like him as a pick. It's the issue of injuries at City that worry me, because I think they've finally going back to a similar system to what they were playing when they were scoring freely, which is not the double pivot, but just one pivot player, which is allowing Gundogan to get forward. It's one of my favourite scenes in Friends. But yeah, I think it's allowing Gundogan to get into the right spaces, whereas when there was a double pivot, it meant the likes of Gundogan, Rodri weren't allowed to get forward as freely. So I definitely like the look of him, but I think right now, if you have Souček and that's the player you'd change, I just wouldn't bother. And I think a lot of other players in the price bracket currently are good picks as well, so I wouldn't necessarily be eager to make that transfer just yet.
No, it could be a little punt on the old free hit though, maybe. Just to say, Jones has brought up something I did want to mention. Emile Smith-Rowe, an absolute bargain. Yeah, I do agree. He looks fantastic, and he's another one that I've kind of followed since academy, and he went out on loan and come back again. And since he's come back, he just looks immense, and for the price that he's at as well. Yeah, I could see a few teams with Arsenal ones.
With my 2 free transfers, if I don't free hit, I'll actually bring him in for Curtis Jones to fill up my team for the next game week if I don't free hit Emile Smith-Rowe, because I don't think anyone will have him, and you can see he's becoming the central part of a lot of our play. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
don't bother. As soon as they're important, they'll go Aston Villa.
Newcastle at home in the double game week as well. So a single game week for them, but that's a nice single game week fixture at home to Newcastle. You know? yeah, still good for even for a bench boost or just to have him in the team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alfie Lee asks, is Antonio a good option for the double game week? Over to you, Jay.
Well, sorry
Oh.
to interject,
Oh.
and this will be the one and only. This is the Kurt serious moment of the week.
Have you stopped your YouTube video first? Or?
Well, no, it's not a YouTube video. It was done to mess around with my mate because he does YouTube. So it's a sound clip. Look.
Oh, I'm imposter.
So when we were playing Among Us, I just played that clip to try and make people think he was the imposter. It's not a YouTube video. It's just literally I was typing number 8 for later, and it came up. Anyway,
I
on to the
wouldn't
more
like
interesting
Gingy, but
subject.
Gingy
Yeah,
never
go on.
joins our streams, so he's not getting a plug.
Exactly. So he can fall off the face of the earth.
Sorry, Kurt, interrupted you. Go on, mate.
No, that's right. I do it for everyone else, so there's no problems there. I would say it's a stunning pick. It's a brilliant pick because he's a forward. Is he a forward? He's a forward, isn't he?
Yes, he's a forward.
He's absolutely fabulous. Everybody buy him. What position does he play?
I double checked because I got Aubameyang confused a few weeks ago because I forgot it's been so long since I said he was nailed for the entire season.
Kurt Bottomley,
I forgot he was a midfielder. I thought he
I
was a
forgot
striker.
that you said that. Aubameyang nailed on entire season.
Well, that was before I knew Arteta
Son.
was going to play people that didn't want to play.
Saw Son and Kane and thought,
But-
who needs Aubameyang?
Antonio was in good form before he got injured, and also it looks as if Sebastian Haller's leaving the club,
Yeah,
which
it does
means their one and only striking option, if they're including him as a striker, is Antonio.
Mhm.
So that means, providing he keeps fit, he's nailed on to start. If they sign a replacement, unless it is someone really good, which I think personally, when they signed Haller, I thought it was a fantastic signing. I'm still not quite sure why they're selling him because I think when he's on his day, he's a phenomenal player. But he just doesn't fit the way they play with 3 at the back, which is also another thing. Masuaku's now back in training. His surgery on his knee was successful. So West Ham are getting rid of Haller, meaning that Antonio is more nailed on. They've got Masuaku back from injury, which means they can go 3 at the back now and have Masuaku left wing back, Cresswell sitting in a bit with 2 other centre backs and Kufau on the other side, which means Kufau becomes more of an option. I think Antonio is a brilliant pick. And if I was to downgrade from Salah to a Smith Rowe or a Saka or someone like that, it would be Antonio that would come immediately in, even for a -4 for Ryan Brewster to get some of that money back. Because I just think if he stays fit, and that's the problem with Antonio, if he stays fit, he was injury prone when he played for us. He was injury prone when he played for Forest. He was injury prone when he's played for West Ham. So providing he keeps fit, he's a brilliant pick.
Like in the short term, they must be confident of his fitness now because they've literally sold Haller, or they're selling him, and he played the last game. So Antonio's come off the bench for the last 2 games.
We are in the market for 2 strikers at the moment.
Okay.
So it does depend on whether we get those
Yeah.
players in. Apparently, it's Joshua King, who we
Okay.
think we might be able to get cheap because I think his contract's coming
Well,
up.
he's got 6 months left, so
Yeah. And then it's Dembele, Ousmane Dembele from Lyon, I
Celtic.
believe.
Do you mean
But,
Moussa Dembele, the one that used
Moussa,
to play for
It's
Celtic?
whichever the striker one is. It might be
Yeah,
that
Moussa
one.
Dembele.
He
the one
plays
that
in
used to play for
France
Yeah,
now.
Celtic.
Musa, Celtic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the
Oh.
2 players we're looking at right now.
I like that.
Whether we get West Ham are well known for not getting the players we want, though. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, you
So-
wanted to get
Still-
King at the start of the season, and you
Yeah.
ended up with Saeed Ben Rama. So
Yeah.
I still think they've taken a chance there. So they must be quite
Well, yeah, 'cause-
confident of his fitness now. Like maybe he must start the next game surely if Haller's off. So
yeah, I think he starts no matter what, and providing until they get an actual replacement in, then it becomes a bit more of a question.
I just love West Ham's double at home to Burnley, at home to West Brom.
Yeah.
It's such a nice double game week that, So yeah, if I was to wildcard for this week with the consideration of bench boost in 19, I would definitely consider Antonio, but his fitness is a worry, for sure.
Okay, cool. Are we FPL? I'm playing the free hit in Blank Gameweek 18. Can't decide whether the Newcastle defensive assets are better choices than Arsenal ones. In particular, Darlow or Leno. Thoughts, please. Oh, God, don't get me started on Leno.
I mean, you could talk about Darlow. He has had games where he's looked fantastic.
Yes. I at the moment, on my video, my first draft, Darlow is my keeper for the free hit. I am not a fan of Leno. I have not been a fan of Leno's since he came to the club. I know there would be a lot of Arsenal fans that disagree with me. I don't think we should have sold Martinez, as the lads know, because I've chewed their ears off about this many a time. I think he's a good enough goalkeeper. I just don't think he's a fantastic keeper. And it really depends on the defence in front of him on the day, rather than whether or not he's good on the day, if that makes sense. So I think Arsenal doing well in the blank game week will be more to do with whether our defence has a good day, and therefore resulting in Leno getting a clean sheet rather than Leno himself being brilliant. But I guess you could kind of say the same about the Newcastle lot and Darlow, though I'm just kind of praying the fixture is better, because Sheffield United chances of scoring goals at the moment are a bit like Kurt getting to do his next shot, which is 7 lights away or 8 lights away. So
You having a personal attack on our lovely supporting fan base, Nim, saying they don't like our
This
video
coming
now.
from you.
Nim
The one who always
exposed. All I'm going to
kicks
say,
people
Nim
out for
exposed.
nothing.
Nim exposed.
So, yeah, Ray, tell us about Leno or Darlow.
Yeah, when I've been playing around with the free hit strategy a bit, is Darlow's my goalie, and I've got Tierney in defence. So
Yeah.
with Darlow, he's trusted. He's a pretty good shot stopper. Dubravka's been fit again for a couple of weeks now, but I'm always someone, if you're performing well, you keep the shirt, and Darlow's been performing very well. So, and also he's a decent price, isn't he? At 5 million, you could really use the funds to, of course, make a super team for the week. But I'd definitely look at Tierney as well, but more because of the attacking potential that he has.
That's the same.
Because
that's the same for me.
I'm a heat maps guy. I like to also see if my eyes have kind of been, fooled by the actual heat maps. And Tierney's acting a lot like a left winger as well when we're going forward. So I think you can actually mix it. I think you can have Darlow and you can have Tierney. That's what I would personally do if I was free hitting.
Yeah, I definitely prefer that way around than the other way around. So a Newcastle defender and then Leno, if I'm honest.
Yeah, what Newcastle defender has attacking for it right now?
Yeah, I mean,
there isn't any.
potentially Yedlin if they're chasing a game, but
Kieran Clark, he's pretty good in the air. But
yeah, true. I just think Tierney looks more attacking, doesn't he? Even holding, as Kurt will attest to after the last game week. So if you can't quite get to Tierney, I guess holding's a cheaper option. So yeah, any more thoughts on that, lads?
Just quick, I think Ray's made a really good point there, because Tierney looks like quite an appealing pick after his last performance. Then you probably don't want to double up on that defense. But even still, I would still go Darlow personally. I don't want to be like always against Arsenal, but I never trust them, to trust them defensively. I think Zaha might score in that game personally. But looking at goals scored this season, Sheffield United have scored 8. Palace scored 22. I know it's a very simple stat, but Sheffield United just struggle for goals this season. So I like the Darlow pick.
Yeah, same. Cool. Okay. Well, Glenn Kitely is here, our regular Arsenal supporter. If the Villa
another one.
We're just taking
DJ
over
Khaled.
the channel. If the Arsenal versus Tottenham game gets postponed, Villa versus Tottenham game gets postponed, I will have just 6 players remaining. Would you play with those or use your wild card in preparation for the double game week, as his free hit is already used? So, Ray, as a fellow gunner, would you like to take Glenn's question?
A lot depends who he has. I think if he has some of those key big players like the Brunos, the KDBs, you're likely going to capture one of them and possibly take a hit or two. I honestly feel if you have 7 or 8 players, but you've got a good 5 or 6, so not you don't want part your 6 or 7 to be Mitchell, Kilman, and Brewster, for example. For me, for the next game week, you need to have some players who are probably certain to start and possibly will return as well.
Can't believe Mitchell, man. So annoying. Like literally, Mitchell, I had him all season. And the week that I sell him, he starts playing. And the week later, he gets a clean sheet. It's like...
It's weird with Mitchell because when PVA came back, I don't think Mitchell deserved to get dropped because Mitchell didn't play a poor game prior.
Yeah,
and if anything, I thought PVA would possibly be a left winger, and maybe Eze would move to the right. But whatever. But he's been sticking to Schlupp quite a bit.
I think it's just me, honestly, because I sold Forster last game week ahead of this match, and he got his first game in like 100 years as well. So I think it was
so
just
basically,
I was fuming about that.
Basically, Nim thinks all these managers check her team and go,
they just check the team. They go,
you've sold him, have you? Okay, cool.
I know.
We'll play it.
So, Glenn, I'm gonna assume that you have 3 or 4 or 5 big hitters. I know you got Wilson. I know you don't have Bruno Fernandes. So I think this could possibly be a good opportunity to wildcard because, Brett, something you mentioned earlier, which I haven't thought about before, is actually looking at the wildcard and starting to set yourself up. So, yeah, I think if I was in that position and assuming he maybe has 3 or 4 key players he wants, and maybe possibly, I think he's only taken 3 hits in 4 years, Glenn was telling me. I think wildcard is definitely a viable option because I don't think a lot of people are actually going to be wildcarding. So I think that could be the differential going into this week. And you're setting yourself up for the double game week as well. So you could look to bring in the likes of Antonio, for example, who's risky but a great option. And possibly
or
really
Aguero.
stack in. So anyway,
Just
like as I was saying,
you'll get used to it. So, every now and again, she'll just say
just
Aguero.
Drop it in. Just drop in the A bomb.
Sometimes it makes no sense why she said it. We're talking about something that isn't even football.
What's the best £4.5 million playing defender? I've got to say, it's got to be Aguero for me.
Got to be Aguero. Got to be. Have you seen them guys? I mean, they are great for defending.
And I think if you look to play the wild card now, remember, with all the blanks and doubles and possible rescheduled games, you have the time to build to those games as well, using those free transfers, using those transfers that are coming up. So I think a wild card is possibly a lot higher as an option than I thought before.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Any more thoughts on that, anybody?
I mean, I disagree, but...
Go on then.
So, for me, the wild card, so I'm assuming Glenn has a team that he might be generally happy with from Game Week 19 onwards.
So I think he put his team in here. He has he's captain in Laka. He has Tierney, Neto, Grealish, Son, Kane, DCL, Target, and Bellerin.
And who are the players that he has that?
Well, that he didn't mention.
Okay.
There's a lot of players they're playing.
That's a lot of players. Also, if he's happy with what his team looks like for Game Week 19 and potentially Game Week 20, I don't see the need to wildcard. Because while it is a good idea to have your team set up, I've personally been setting my team up for Game Week 19 onwards anyway. So I think it all depends on what that team looks like for Game Week 19 onwards and not necessarily what it looks like for this game week. He's got enough players for this game week, by the sounds of it. So for me, I wouldn't use a wild card for Game Week 18 onwards. I'd use it for Game Week 19 onwards.
Have you got any City coverage at the moment, Jay?
Well, I'm free hitting, so...
I know, but for 19, which when we were preparing for 19, City didn't have a double game week at that time. So now it's like,
to be honest, I want to see what they do in 18 to make that decision. Because
so you don't have any at the moment?
No. For me, they've had one very good game against Chelsea, but they have changed tactic, which is appealing to me. But I think
they looked good last night against Man United.
Yeah,
but again, those are
really
two fixtures that they're going to want to perform. Like, I need to see what they look like against the teams that we expected them to walk over before, but they weren't walking all over.
I mean, all those weeks with KDB, man, with them doing nothing was just horrible.
Don't get me wrong, I'm very interested, and that could be my transfer in Game Week 19, is to bring in Kevin De Bruyne.
How would you do it, Jay? How would you fund it?
I'm pretty sure I've got money in the bank still.
Just
I just feel
interesting.
looking at Glenn's. Yeah, thanks, Glenn. I don't see it. Is without KDB and Bruno in those six, I just feel it's. I mean, it could be really scary actually, because out of all those players, I don't know who I really am confident could haul, because I think Villa will set up for the counter. I could potentially I could potentially see the biggest guy hauling, and that's if he weren't captaining Glenn, would be Lacazette. But again, I never put my faith in Arsenal when it comes to FPL.
Three Arsenal fans and
not
none of them
many
want to put faith
Arsenal
in.
fans do. No, not big guns anyway. We don't mind the punts and slackers and holdings and things here and there, but we get a bit nervous when it comes to putting a lot of money and captaining and stuff. Then we get a bit scared off.
And also another thing, Jay, you were mentioning is having too many players from one team. Out of those six, 3 of them are from Arsenal.
Yeah, but I think he likes to play like that. I don't know why.
Certainly,
because
Arsenal
it's Arsenal. But
Okay, so Kiwi Nick, whilst Jay has a mess around with his team there.
I've
Kiwi
already
Nick
looked. I have 1.5 million in the bank.
Yeah.
I don't know
so
how
who
I'd
would
do
you
it,
sell?
but I would
I've
be
got
happy to
2
take a
points.
-4. So I don't know how I would do it. I've not even
I've
thought
got
that far.
2 points something in the bank, and I cannot see a way to KDB that
Robbo
doesn't
out.
mean selling Son, Salah, or
Robbo.
Bruno.
I know.
Can you not get the
Another
money with
reason why
Robbo?
I'm debating Wildcat.
Can't you sell Robbo?
I can, but even then, I still don't have enough to move Rafinha up to Rafinha
Oh, you want
or
to move
Sushek
Rafinha up?
up. Well, it's either that or selling Son, Bruno, or Salah, of which neither 3 I really want to sell long term.
Neither do I
I
personally.
wouldn't.
It's
Yeah.
no.
Exactly. So I'd have to sell
See, I just
Rafinha or
thought you'd have more
Sushek.
money because you have Suchek and Rafinha. See, I would be changing someone like a Grealish or someone like that, so I'm already starting off with a higher price player.
Right. I don't know. Maybe I've got it more spread out.
Yeah, I'll probably have less defence.
I'm just really struggling to sell Son despite the single week because it's Sheffield United. I'm always wary of these single game week players that get overlooked and then you end up regretting it, And
I mean,
Son's just too good value. He's too good a value, Son, this season.
The thing with City is that goals are coming from everywhere. Kevin De Bruyne has looked good, especially in the Chelsea game where he got the points. But in the Man United game, he wouldn't have got any FPL points.
Yeah.
Whereas Son will be involved in the goals somehow. Kane will be involved in the goals somehow.
So. I hope not.
There's a difference because Man City have lots of players that can be the one that gets on the end of a ball. KDB could have been the one that passed it before the assist. He could be the assister. He could be scoring the goal. When Spurs score, it's Kane and Son, pretty much. Every now and again, Lo Celso might pop up, or Bergvin, or someone will pop up. Alderweireld will come in and score a header. But there's more consistency there with players outside of City. So while I do want to take advantage of City's fixtures, for me it's almost still a punt because I don't know who will get the points in a City fixture for sure.
At the moment, you're probably at the safest time not to own some, put it that way, because KDB is still relatively lowly owned compared to, some of the others. But I don't think that'll last massively long, especially if he does do quite well in the free hit Blank Gameweek. And then I think people will load on for the double for sure. Okay, Kiwi Nick FPL asks, what is the best wild card? So, Kurt, any ideas on what a best wild card would be?
The best wild card?
Yeah, it's a bit of an out there
what does he mean?
answer.
Pick your whole new team now.
Yeah,
I think
pretty
that's
much
what
long term, I think.
I'm assuming he's thinking of playing and he wants to know who to pick.
Is he? I'm assuming he's wildcarding this week and he wants to know who to get in. Can we take it as that question? Because otherwise, I can't really give an answer. It depends.
No, yeah, that's what he's asking, basically.
Kane and Son are hugely important. And
so you
Arsenal,
just sack off double game week players for those two?
Well, he's wildcarding. He's not free hitting.
Yeah, but the double's not for another game week yet.
And
Yeah, but
Son
Son
and
still
Kane play
plays in
next
that
week,
game
though, don't
week.
they?
So he's thinking of 18, 19, 20, 21. He's not just thinking of this 2 game week period. That's why I'd keep Son and Kane as well.
The reason I'm not wildcarding these next 2 weeks is purely and simply because I feel like if I did wildcard, I would go heavily on the next 2 weeks and then look at my game week 20 and think, whoops.
I think there are some teams though with nice fixtures, fairly long term, that you could get in.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
Nim, you have form
obviously-
over fixtures. That's what you always say.
No, but but I mean with form as well though, Jay. Yes, I would have Kane and Son in there, but I think you could, have 2 City. I think you could have 2 United. I think Aston Villa. These are all players that are going to get double game weeks down the line as well. Antonio, as we've already touched upon, Arsenal's we've already touched upon at the moment. Saka's in good form. He has good fixtures for a couple of game weeks. There are players you could make a nice wild card up out of that, on form and with fixtures that you could muddle through with, I think, for a good, for a good couple of game weeks, especially if you had no other chips. Just coming at this from some, thinking of somebody in a situation where maybe they have just used a lot of their chips already, maybe a bit like Glenn, and you're looking at these and you're looking at your team. I mean, I think Glenn's team's pretty good already, just because, he's been quite stubborn about keeping Arsenal players. It's kind of come good on him. But because if Arsenal hadn't come good, he'd be looking at a whole different situation right now. But I think, there are quite a few teams you could say in form at the moment that also have good fixtures going forward that you could make a nice team up out of. The problem I've got with the wildcard is, for me, I think I need at least 5 players to change before I'd want a wildcard. And at the moment, the only player I really want in my team that I'm missing, maybe 2, is the first is KDB and the second is Kane. And I'm not sure I want to destroy the whole rest of my squad just to get one or either of those players, because it would mean selling the likes of a Soucek possibly, or a Robertson possibly, and things like that. And I just don't think I know enough information yet to get rid of those players long term. So, but if I was in a situation where I had, 4, 5 plus players that I don't want anymore, and I was struggling to have hits and double game week players, I think it could be done.
Yeah, but to return to Kurt's point, which players have had the form for the longest? Son and Kane. That's why I couldn't. If I was having a wild card, they would still be in my team no matter what. I
agree with you. I agree with you.
But they don't have the double. They only have 2 singles.
True. I was just kind of playing devil's advocate. I was just wondering, would you still, even with the double?
Because, for instance, Man United,
would you maybe
I'm still only really
Kane?
interested in Fernandes.
I guess
I would be interested in Son and Kane.
Yeah.
And then with Man United, I worry about the rest of their players around Fernandes being consistent. With Aston Villa, I almost feel like they're a double-edged sword. I've had Grealish for most of the season. The amount of times I've watched him look amazing and not get points. Like, the only one I'm confident in getting returns.
Imagine not owning him, though. It's a horrible watch. Believe me, I got off
I
a
just
couple of
probably
game
wouldn't watch
weeks
the
ago.
game,
I hate
to be
it.
honest. It's only Villa. I don't need to watch Villa's games all the time.
No, I see what you mean. I'd probably still go Kane and Son, and then I'd maybe, because I was wildcarding, I'd maybe switch to Vardy for the double from Kane. Although Sheffield United, that fixture Kane could easily brace. So I was just playing devil's advocate, really, with saying, would you still keep Kane? So.
Yeah, I've jumped on the Kane and Son bandwagon about 10 weeks too early. Kurt's been telling me for about 2 months.
So have you got him now?
I haven't got Kane yet, but he will be coming in at some point.
What is wrong with you?
I'm not used to having to listen to you. You'd be right.
To be fair, I'm not used to saying something and thinking, bloody hell, they're still scoring. Normally they go pants by now. One of them's been sold.
Well, I'm used to the Aubameyang call where you're like, you have to have Aubameyang, and I'm like, no, I don't. But yeah, I've been completely wrong on Kane and Son.
Cool. We are 3 away, I think, from Kurt and Jay having another shot.
3 more
in the
likes.
likes. Okay, cool. Mark James says, is going into the blank game week 18 with 8 or 9 players a viable option? Probably going to take -4 to get in double city, so I can go with 10 players holding chips for later.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
We've
Yeah.
covered that
Yeah.
pretty much.
I think we all
Most
think that's a
questions.
yes. Jay, see if you were on a free hit like me, who are some left field options? Aubameyang, Wood, or Almiron, he says. So, Ray,
Well,
thoughts on... Oh, so go on, Kurt, you first.
I was just going to say, just because Aubameyang was brought up, if starting these youngsters has finally turned things around for Arteta, and Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli has brought a sort of a new breath of life to what was quite a dismal, shocking and embarrassing Arsenal side, considering 20 odd years ago you're invincibles. If Aubameyang's sitting up front and you've got that behind you, you think you've potentially got players like Tierney and Bellerin ripping it up each side of fullback. He does become someone that interests you. And the only reason I'd say that is because I haven't looked at it. I guarantee you his ownership percentage is lower than every other premium midfielder, barring none. He must be low. Surely he's got to be low. There might as well like 2 or 3% from the sort of the zombie teams, but he's got to be low, surely. I'll have a look now just to have a double check on that point.
He's still owned by 7.2%.
So a lot of that's got to be zombie teams, though,
Is
surely.
that just Glenn?
Saka actually has higher
I see.
ownership. Aubameyang, yeah. Saka has higher ownership than Aubameyang right now.
Serious?
And apart from the zombie teams that have probably
Wow.
got 3 players playing each week, half of the players that are just injured for the season or have got coronavirus at the moment, he's still a differential in terms of the
You
actual
said the
playing
word.
top 1 million.
I did not know Saka was 10% owned.
I didn't until I just looked now. I was thinking, awesome, if he gets points in
I would've
this
said 2%.
blank game week, it would be awesome. Oh, 10%. It's still good.
Oh, for sure. It's just higher than I expected.
Yeah.
It's probably because he has the fixture and he's cheap.
He also
and
has the stats, to be fair.
Yeah,
He's
I would have
getting-
thought it's probably a lot of Arsenal fans as well. Just happy to have a player
Well, yeah.
that they can own.
They're like, finally, Saka's in the starting 11. Put
Yeah.
him in my
Yeah.
FPL team.
But yeah,
Well,
I mean,
if
we've...
Oh, go on.
No, go
Okay.
on, Ray. No, you go, buddy.
Well, if we're going left field, I'm just going to assume percentage. Maybe that's the best way for me to understand it. So Lacazette is less owned than Aubameyang at the moment at 6.5%. So I think he's
Wow,
definitely the
nice.
obvious if you're going to go more left field.
Mhm.
Kurt, I completely agree with you. It's something I've advocated as well. With the youthful exuberance, I think it's motivated the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang. You know, kind of the kick up the arse they need for 2 reasons. A, they got the runners around them, and B, their places aren't so certain anymore to being in the team. So I think the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang are both really going to start putting in the effort, at least, to start getting the goals and returns. That's going to help the team. So, I mean, just based on the percentage aspect, the left field would be Lacazette for me.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned a fair few already tonight, and we left fields, you know,
I do have one.
Netos and Gundogan. Go on, Kurt.
Gundogan, Brett.
I like the yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, the Gundogan shout, now that you've mentioned it, it's a decent one for this week as a left field pick for sure. And talking about Smith Rowe, like on a free hit, because we need these bench backup options, which you never know you might need at 4.4 on a free hit, even as a bench option, you know, Smith Rowe could be nice because as your 12th man that might need to come in these difficult, you know, unpredictable times, he's a great 4.4 option.
Who is that? Sorry,
Smith Rowe. I think
Rowe.
is he 4.4, 4.5? So even
He
if
is
you're not
4.4, yeah.
even if you're not starting him on a free hit for 1 week as a bench option, which he might have to come in, perfect. El Ghazi for me is a bit of a left field pick, just because
I guess we got to wait and see what happens with Aston Villa now.
That's
don't
true.
We?
That's true. Like yeah. So that kind of maybe
No,
we
but
don't know
he's
if his
definitely
game's gonna go
great.
ahead.
He's looked great, Brett. It's a great shout.
Yeah, his underlying stats are really up there. You know, really good form. So Yeah, his shots inside the box, 15 in the last 6 game weeks. It's third best. He's shooting so much, 27 shots, the most of any player in the league over the last 6 game
Wow,
weeks. 5
great.
goals, the most big chances in that time as well. 6 big chances. So Grealish is creating so much for the likes of El Ghazi and Watkins as well. So left field, I mean, I don't know how highly owned El Ghazi is, and I know like Spurs have defended quite well this season, actually better than I expected them to, so it's not the best fixture, but yeah, 4.3% ownership, even that's higher than I expected, to be honest. That's more than I thought, but still very left field and in decent form. So
Cool.
Sorry, one question: is Cavani back for the next game?
I think so, because the cup wasn't it the cup game that
the cup game counts.
Yeah, it counts because it's domestic competition. So if
he is back. He's back. Yeah.
If he's back, then I could see him starting against Burnley, simply because I think Martial or Rashford will certainly start in the FA Cup game, just based on the fact they don't have enough forwards. So Cavani could be another option as well, because he looks brilliant every time he plays.
Yeah,
he looks awesome.
I think Bruno looks much better when he plays as well. He prefers that kind of more static striker he can play around, I think.
The problem is he's started
ownership.
one game.
Yeah, it's the starting bit that's the worry with him.
So,
but
like, don't get me wrong, he's come on to score points, but only 90 minutes is a bit concerning to me.
Yeah. Okay, last question then. Is it finally time to throw away the spreadsheets and long-term plans and play it week by week, flying by the seat of our pants from Migtavius? So, Kurt, I know you're a long-time spreadsheet planner. So,
yeah.
What do you think, buddy? You're going to rip
What's
up
your
them
spreadsheet
books
say?
now and
Spreadsheet just says chaos. That's it. Just one word. Chaos.
Throw this book away is what the spreadsheet.
I understand why people would follow spreadsheets, and there's a reason I said towards the earlier part of the stream that a few weeks ago I was all about the free hit on game week 18. Now I'm not going anywhere near it. It's because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you could free hit, go heavy on X, Y, and Z, and think, right, I'm sorted. Boom. X, Y, or Z, whatever the word is, I can't say again because I'll get kicked out of the Wildcats. COVID-virus 17. Game gets postponed, and it's 4 of your players down. Thinking, oh, well, I wish someone had told me about that. You can't predict it. So, albeit there's always snarky people on Twitter saying, "Oh, well, the only thing you've got to worry about is your FPL team. Oh, what are you doing that for?" This is a game you've got to play to the rules of real life. At the end of the day, I've stopped looking at free hits and bench boosts for these next 2 weeks, which was looking like a potential, because you never know what's going to happen. That's why I'm leaving to the end of the season, because with any luck, the vaccine will be rolled out, things go edged back towards normality, and you can try a bit then. But I'd say, yeah, rip it up, get rid of it.
Okay, Brett, same question to yourself. Can't see you flying by the seat of your pants, gotta say, mate. I feel like you like to be more structured in life.
Of course, yeah. It sounds cliche, but I guess it depends on what kind of manager you are. Like, I think to relieve the stress of everything and the frustration, then yes, just take it week by week, because it is very hard to plan. And when you put a lot of thought and planning in place and then things change, it can be more frustrating. So if you don't want to plan, you want to have a bit more fun with it, then I can understand. I still think that even despite all these frustrating changes, the ones that plan still will be in a better position, overall. But it depends, everyone plays the game differently. So I will still try and have a long-term plan in mind. But that's just me personally,
Yeah. Ray?
I usually go 2 to 3 weeks. Usually that's kind of when I plan. So I have a couple of Excels that I use, and just 2 to 3 weeks. But with everything that's going on at the moment, 30 minutes before deadline.
I could see the free hit now. Oh gosh, I can't. I'm just gonna be
Free
there
hit
last minute,
chaos.
like, oh my god, what do you mean? Who's not playing now? Oh no, get that person out. Get that person.
Exactly.
It's gonna be utter madness. Jay, yourself?
Well, I'd say it's all about being flexible, which you should be trying to be anyway. Because, yeah, this is circumstances that are completely different to any other season we've played. But
Yeah,
as long as you
true.
start to adapt, you can plan. Maybe don't long-term plan for too far into the future. Generally, players that plan will do better overall. I mean, the majority of us over December have seen a rise in rank. And I'd imagine a lot of that is us starting to rise above the players that haven't been planning. Even with the postponements and only 10 players, my 10 players have done well. So I still think there's a need to plan, but just be ready to rip it up and make up a new plan. And maybe just try not to stress too much about it. Because some of my best game weeks I've just gone, you know what, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to do anything.
I think it's that patience. I think that I definitely would have done better this season if I had not done anything a couple of times, but because I just get a bit batchisel sometimes, and I just kind of feel like, oh, I haven't done enough to this team in a while, so bugger it, minus
Ray,
12.
shush. I see you in the chat, Ray. What are you doing? Have all the Wildcats like this video yet?
There it
Got
is.
it. Well done.
There it is.
Double
You
shot,
got in there
double.
beforehand. That's a double and I have a question in it, Jay.
Ah, you know what? Go on then. It's
on,
been a
Kit.
while.
You're on too, buddy.
We'll keep talking for the
Yeah,
people,
I
though.
know.
Brett,
I know.
Brett, can
Yes.
we just choose 3 questions for a quick fire, please, buddy?
Sure. Okay, cool.
Just because of time, we had a lot of questions on social media this time. So sorry to anybody who did put questions in the live chat. We did have a lot more than usual from social media. So
Go follow us on social media, and next time you see a tweet from us, make sure your question is there, and it will get answered.
yeah, there you go.
And then join us on the stream to hear the answer.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Simple.
Couldn't have put it better than myself. Really.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's just beautiful. Just beautiful.
To be fair,
Brett's just like, yeah, definitely do that.
definitely. No, I was going to say, despite a very active chat, there hasn't been loads of questions anyway.
That's
so
okay. We'll
a
just go with
couple,
3,
so,
buddy. Yeah.
To be honest, we probably covered the majority of them anyway.
Yeah.
Most of them will probably be free hit related.
Yeah,
Sorry.
this one is all good, Ray. This one is free hit related, but I quite like this question. So it's from Jones Boat 79. Hey man. So he says, if you are free hitting in game week 18 this week, do you think it's important to cover every fixture? So, don't miss any fixture out.
So I know that Jay will probably say yes, but there are just a couple of fixtures there that I just can't even, I'm just not even paying
Which ones?
attention to.
Is it Wolves Everton? No.
Wolves Everton.
Yeah, Wolves Everton, I'm not really that fussed about. Although Neto is probably the only one out of those that I would consider.
how
maybe
people have
maybe
dropped DCL.
Sace. Maybe Sace as well, I would consider.
People have just gone, DCL, go away. We don't need you anymore.
But the
Poor
other
guy.
one, I think was the...
I mean, the Sheffield United Newcastle, but I guess Darlow, people are looking at him.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
budget
Clean
options,
sheets,
the Newcastle players
Yeah,
are
I
the
think
budget
it
options.
is pretty much just the Everton Wolves game, and it's not necessarily because I don't think players will do well in that match. It is just simply
Just hard
because
to
I just
call.
like some of the other fixtures better, really.
It is hard
and
to
if
call
I'm
that one,
free
isn't it?
hitty, yeah.
Very.
Believe it or not, if I had to just ignore one fixture, that would be the one.
Mm.
I don't think my free hit side had any Wolves or Everton players.
Yeah, I think there's great options from all the others, so it's quite easy to cover the rest, really. Anyway, so cool. Okay. Okay, so just quickly then. So from Razvan, it's a quick question. Do we know any more about this whole Villa situation? Is that do we know what's going on?
I've heard so much, my brain
I've,
is frazzled.
yeah,
for it, though.
I've kind of, yeah, I've just been just keeping it on with Sky Sports, and they're pretty hopeful of trying to get a team out there.
So
And
is
I
that
think
for
we
the cup,
mentioned-
Ray?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's like mostly under 23s and stuff, right?
Precisely. So I think Man City, they closed their training ground a couple of weeks ago for 2 days, and then kind of everyone again started training, and they were still able to go on with some of their
I'm
games.
not
I think
sure quite as many first team players were affected though than what we seem to be hearing from Aston Villa. That's my only concern about this, is that it feels more like Newcastle than it does the City situation. That's the
Yeah, so it's large number of Villa players and staff. So
I definitely saw first team in one of the
oh yeah, which of course would include first team players, I imagine. But I do feel the game will still go ahead. But again, this is just me
Of course, speculation. Yeah,
just
I
giving my
appreciate your
opinion.
thoughts.
But I think but also I think Villa are so focused on the league as well that if they had the opportunity to play this game, even if they had a much weaker team, I think they still want to go ahead with the under 23 players, with Keenan Davis, for example. So yeah, at the moment, I think Villa do want the game to go ahead from what I'm reading.
Well, if they train before the actual Gameweek 18 game, hopefully we'd get an idea of who is actually available.
A large number of first team players and staff returned positive tests after being routinely tested on Monday and imminently went into isolation. But then Ben also said, that's Ben Dinnery for anyone who wants to know, the FA and Villa are working closely together to try and ensure that the club's third round proper fixture with Liverpool can go ahead as planned at Villa Park tomorrow evening. Final confirmation will be made tomorrow pending the results of the additional COVID-19 results.
Yeah, you just kind of worry that, because it's the cup, they'll try and put a team out. But then if it's still a bad situation, a big home fixture against Spurs, who are both right up there, both teams, like, could they possibly ask to postpone that one, I don't know. It's tough one, but that'll certainly have a big impact on the...
Tell you what, if Aston Villa have a weak side for that Spurs game, it makes the Spurs players a lot more interesting for the Gameweek 18.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
good point. Okay, cool. Well, obviously, yeah, it's all speculation, but hopefully, Razvan, that was helpful. Okay, just lastly then. So, Nim, just quickly, Jones Bloke wants to know your thoughts on Arsenal now. I guess, Ray and myself can... Well, anyone can talk about Arsenal, but he did ask for you specifically.
No, me and Kurt, we might as well carry on drinking, mate. They don't want our opinion here.
He added you into it, Nim, so he wants to know. He said he would love to hear your thoughts on Arsenal now.
Yeah, I think we look a lot more positive. It's quite funny actually. After the last match, I remember Jay in the WhatsApp group was saying that he pretty much felt like that Arteta might have been listening to our Twitch stream that we did when I had a bit of a rant about him playing the youngsters.
We suddenly became AFTV.
Yeah, we did. We pretty much did.
That's true. You did say that.
And I was basically saying that I'm so fed up that I think that him playing, when they play the kids in Europe, we seem to be an awful lot better because they actually want to play for us. And I don't understand why he isn't giving the youth team players more of a chance in the Premier League, and basically telling some of the bigger players to take a seat and sit down, and if you don't want to play for us, then you don't get on the pitch. And yeah, so I won't go over the whole rant again. I don't even know if it's still on Twitch now, the replay, but yeah, definitely had a good rant about that. But actually a week or a couple of days later, he did do exactly that, which was quite funny. And we've pretty much been going on a rise ever since then, so it's been quite amusing.
Have you got any players from Arsenal in your team now then for FPL, Nim? Or
I haven't, only simply because I was so focused on dead ending my team to free hit for 18 and then bench boost in 19 that actually I had all but one non-double game week player, which was my second goalkeeper, which was Forster. who I then switched to Sanchez. Don't ask. I only had 4.4, and I wanted a keeper that was going to play in that game week for a bench booster. So he was the only one at the time. But yeah, you know, I literally had a full 15 of double game week players, and that's what I was chasing. Otherwise, obviously, Arsenal would be in my thinking, and still are in my thinking now for the free hit. At the moment, Saka and Tini are both in the free hit. Lacazette could become an option, but haven't settled on that either way. I know how I will switch. So I've got Rashford in at the moment, but I am considering selling Rashford and then, you know, having another striker up front, and I haven't really kind of decided which way I'm going on that yet, whether I'm going 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 really. But yeah, I am considering Lacazette in that third spot. So I do think we look a lot better at the back, which is strange considering we were meant to be much better at the back with Gabriel. And since he's gone out and Holding's come back in, we seem to be a lot more stable at the back. And I just think that having a lot more of the young creative players up front has meant some of the like midfielders that need to do that kind of solid defending, like Xhaka, have actually been able just to do just that. And it's, you know, now Nenny, and it's just kind of caused us to be a lot more kind of structured in the areas we've needed it, and allowed the creativity to be more of a case up front. But I am trying not to get too carried away with the last match, because obviously it was West Brom, and you know, we do need to see more from us before knowing that we're a team that we can really invest in long term, which is why it's kind of quite nice for the free hit, because it's kind of like have a bit of a punt and see, and if it goes well, then great, you know, you can look at them more long term, and if not, and we fall off a cliff again, which has also been known to happen quite a lot, then you haven't really lost too much. It's been one game week. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Cool. Perfect. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, unfortunately, there's no Jeffers Corner question this evening. Missing him lots, and it's not quite a Wildcats live stream without Jeffers Corner question or Jeffers himself in the chat. So hopefully he'll be back from his break, his little sabbatical from FPL very soon, and joining us back in the chat and giving us some of those random questions that we all know and love. But that's it. Thanks again to Ray for joining us, and I will pass over to Jay to wrap us up.
Okay, before we end and I'll wrap up, I just want to shout out to Patricia Hart and Heart's Heroes that are the December Manager of the Month.
Well done.
They got over 400 points in the month of December, something like that. And their current game rank overall is 896th.
Wow.
So they got that from about 30k, so that's a great rise in December.
Amazing.
I would love to know if you planned, because then that would help with the question about whether we should be planning.
Would you like to take over my team for a bit?
But well done to Patricia Hart. Your name will be there for the rest of January streams, so if you do see this, congratulations, well done. And the rest is thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Ray, the new Wildcat, for joining us as well. You've been really working hard behind the scenes, so we really appreciate it, mate.
Really appreciate it, buddy.
And also, please make sure to like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check us out on Twitter at FPL WildCats, where you'll be updated when we're going live next. And that's it from us, guys. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Spot.